Hey guys, Jay here, and welcome back to another video. Guys, I'm super excited because today I'm going to be giving you guys my dimensional trial build. This is awesome, guys, because guess what? We are pretty much only healing, and that is awesome, right? I'm super excited about that. I don't really like doing damage, I just like doing heals, and so this build is going to showcase a lot of healing, a lot of utility to help our teammates out. These dimensional trials have been pretty tough overall for the community, and so I think that we get to finally do just our role as a healer, so I think you guys will be happy about that. And so let's get right into it, starting with the skills, guys. Starting with the stats. So guys, these are the stats that I'm rocking with. I have that 57 strength, 50 wisdom, and 50 perception. And the reason why I did this is because we want to go for survivability if possible, but I have found that it is very effective to get our 50 wisdom and our 50 perception if we're able to. And the reason why is because the 50 wisdom gives us, yes, an increased mana, max mana, debuff duration, but we also get that cooldown speed, which I think is really effective in PvE because it basically allows us to spam our spells a lot quicker than if we didn't have that. And based on my distribution of my stats, I was also able to hit 50 perception because it increases our buff duration and our range, which means our spells are just a little bit more effective overall. Like, for example, Clay Salvation can hit a little bit farther now, which is really nice and can save our teammates. And so for me, you know, you could try to aim for like a 60 or 70 strength, but you would sacrifice for not reaching these 50 thresholds, which I think are pretty important. Dexterity and fortitude in a PvE setting, for me, it just really wasn't that effective. I tested some of it out, and honestly, I just got a little bit more consistency with having this spread. It's a really even spread, so try to aim for it if you guys can. If you had to only pick one of these skills to kind of highlight, I would go for that 50 wisdom just because of that cooldown speed and increased mana. And then I would focus on strength next just to get some survivability. But we're really looking for that buff duration at the perception 40 as well. So if you really can't hit these, that's what I would aim for. Now, moving into the gear, guys. So I'm actually going to talk about the weapons and the gear, which I normally don't do because it doesn't change too much, you know, going from PvE and PvP. However, I have been doing some testing. So I have the Lucurious Coveted Tome, and I also have the Excavator Wand, right? And so basically, when I'm in a PvE situation, I'm still actually going to use the Lucurious Coveted Tome. And the reason why is because I'm able to get an extra buff duration on the Coveted Tome, which we're unable to get in the Excavator Scepter. And so I get that, plus I get 11 Wisdom and 10 Perception, which is just awesome. Whereas the Excavator one, we just get a Strength and Max Mana increase, which obviously having an extra 2k Max Mana is awesome. But I found it to be a little bit more effective to have the extra Wisdom and Perception, which is really cool. And so I basically go for this, guys. If you have the Excavator Wand, you'd be just fine using that. I just like using the Lucurious Coveted Tome because it gives us that Wisdom and the Perception. Plus, we get some critical hit chance too, which is really nice. And then I'm always going to go with the Carnix Bow just because it's the best one that we can do. It has that strength and critical hit chance and max health and all that fun stuff. All right, so moving into the gear, guys. So I have been using the Ascended Guardian set. And guys, this is awesome. I mean, look at what it gives us. We get that cooldown speed if we have 2 pieces, but then we get 25% skill heal, which is super important because right now it's nighttime, so I'm only at 68%, and that's with the 25% increase. If it was during the day, obviously we'd be a lot higher, but because these dungeons take place at night, I think that this is probably going to be our best gear pieces that we should go for. So if you can go for it, they're decently cheap right now. So I would try to hit these. Go for, you know, I go for melee endurance, max mana, mana regen, just because it's a PvE situation. And then I really want that buff duration for the chest piece as well. So again, however you guys roll these, I think it'll be effective either way. But I just go for that utility as much as I can on PvE stuff because I'm not going to be using these 2 pieces in a PvP setting just because I like my survivability kit from the Shot Commander set. So yeah, these are the pieces I'm going for, guys, or that I'm rocking right now. And I'll have a link in the description of my other PvP sets as well if you're curious about that. But I just wanted to touch on the Ascended Guardian set because of that 25% increase, which is just super helpful. But yeah, so let's go into the skills, guys, which is the best part. So skills, guys, for this PvE healer set for Dimensional Trials, this is what I'm rocking with. I'm going to walk through each of these real quick so you guys can get out there, and this is my thought process. So first, I just want to heal, guys. Like, healing in Dimensional Trials feels a lot better than just the 1-star and 2-star dungeons, because we can just focus on our role of healing. We don't have to do all this damage. I know in my 2-star dungeon video, I talked about doing damage, and I still stick by that because basically, you know, we're trying to clear those as quickly as possible, and people started to figure out the mechanics. And so basically doing extra damage is important because then it just clears the dungeon faster. But these Dimensional Trials almost require us to be a pure healer, which is really awesome. So we're going to be bringing a lot of pure healing and utility stats, so let's get into that. So Touch of Despair, I'm still going to bring this, and the reason why is because there's really not another skill that I could find that would make sense here. Basically, this is kind of like, I'm going to talk about this one and then also my Time for Punishment at the same time. These are pretty much like my set it and forget it sort of skills, right? So basically, we could just throw this on cooldown, and it just gives a little bit of extra damage, which is, you know, it's nice, but it's not like completely necessary. But then we also have Time for Punishment, which is really awesome. It's our nice curse utility spell, which basically decreases the target's skill damage resistance, which is awesome. And that helps out the whole team. So essentially, I'm going to use these two on cooldown because we're able to do a little bit of extra damage and then help our team do even more damage. So, you know, you could switch out Touch of Despair for something else, but this just made sense to me because I don't really have to focus on it too much while I'm healing people. Next is Swift Healing, guys. Pretty no-brainer on this one. Just bring this because this is going to be our main heal to get people out of a bad situation. And so I'm just going to bring this no matter what. Fountain of Life, definitely going to bring this too. It's a good AoE healing. Plus, it gives mana if we spec it. And then I'm going to talk about these two shields real quick. So the Invincible Wall is awesome, guys. I've been using this a lot in PvE. Normally, I don't really bring this, but I have been lately. And it's just been really effective for preparing for different boss mechanics. So I would try this out. And then also, guys, I'm bringing the Blessed Barrier too. And I spec this to be the AoE version as well. And this has been really helpful for me. I mean, I've never really brought this in PvE, but I've been finding a lot of use in it as there's so much damage coming to our teammates. And so this is just really awesome. So I would try these out and let me know what you guys think about those. Lastly, I'm going to bring Clay Salvation just because it's a great AoE heal. And we can also get rid of some of the weakens too, which is really nice. Moving into the bow specs, I'm always going to bring Nature's Blessing just because it gives us that AoE healing, plus it gives us mana regen, and it can remove some of those weakens too. And then I'm going to go with Blitz, guys, too. This is a great utility spell because it allows us to reset any of our other skills. Typically, I'm still going to use it with Deadly Marker, so I'm going to use Deadly Marker, and then Blitz, and then back to Deadly Marker to get more damage on the boss for our teammates. But you can definitely use it to reset like your Flash Arrow or your Fountain of Life or your Blessed Barrier, things like that, which can be really useful. Next, I'm going to be using the Flash Wave. No brainer again, guys. This does damage, but it does great healing over time, which is really needed in these PvE situations. And then lastly, I'm going to, well, I guess I talked about this a little bit, Deadly Marker, but Purifying Touch, I'm going to bring this, guys, because there are a lot of situations where we need to cleanse or essentially remove a debuff from our tank and from other people too when they get stunned and things like that. So I think this is really important to bring. It's just really helpful, and certain boss mechanics definitely almost require it because the tank will lose aggro if they're stunned. So we want to bring that. And then finally, Deadly Marker to help the team out. It's a utility spell. Just bring this, guys, and because it just helps us get rid of the boss a lot quicker. Moving to, and before the passives, actually, so I'm going to be talking about this real quick too, Chaotic Shield. This is the one I'll actually bring. So I used to bring Overtaker, and which was really nice to get that extra dodge. However, I think this provides a little bit more utility, specifically on the island dimensional trial. I've been having a tough time when I actually get a perfect check. The second dodge that it gives us actually has been kind of messing me up. But beyond that, the chaotic shield, when you actually get a skill check, so you hit a perfect, then you can actually use a healing spell. So essentially you can use this again and it'll give a healing, which to me it's kind of like a mini swift healing, and I'll kind of demonstrate that when I get into the rotation. But yeah, I would bring this, guys, because it's just really effective if you hit one of those fury attacks that basically you get a counterattack spell, which just basically makes the Touch of Despair a little bit better. And I think that's exactly why I bring Touch of Despair, just because it kind of couples with Chaotic Shield, which is really nice. Okay, moving into passives. So guys, passives are really interesting, and this is going to be kind of personal preference, but this is what I ended up going with, and I've honestly seen it work really well in these dimensional trials. So I go with Saint's Oath because taking skill damage, we have an increase to use our skill heal. Now guys, this does work in PvE. So whenever there's that purple circle or the square, and say you miss that, you have a 20% chance to increase your skill heal, which I'll demonstrate that as well. And so I would just bring this, guys, because it just increases our healing, which is great in case we miss one of the skill checks. Race Beacon, I do use this, not just for the Touch of Despair, but I really use it for Time for Punishment, because it really just helps, nuke down the boss a lot easier, and basically just keeps our curses up longer. And so that's why I went with this. You 100% could switch this out with something else, but I just figured that was kind of the best one for us here. Next is Noble Revival. We just get more healing based off of our mana, so just bring this. And then also Selfless Soul helps us with that mana regen and then also health recovery too. So I just bring this because it's great utility. Now, these next couple, you can switch them out for whatever you want. A reason why I don't go with Devotion and Emptiness is because all of these dungeons take place at night, and so we don't get that skill increase. We just get skill damage over time, increases by 34%, and curse skill cooldown decreases by 10% at night. So I just didn't really find this to be as effective. It's interesting because like skill damage typically would mean like, heal damage, but this is specific towards skill healing. So I just decided not to go with it. If you guys think that this is better, then end up rolling with it, go for it. You could switch it out for Race Beacon. But I just kind of switch it out and this is what's been working for me too. So I'll just say that, this is not a rule, my passive specifically, because there's so many you can use and switch out, and it's all personal preference. But yeah, so Earth's Blessing is what I go with because it just gives us that health regen from our skills. And then I use the Distorted Sanctuary because it gives all of our teammates survivability. And then I use Devoted Shield too, because if we end up messing up, this will actually save us, which is really nice. And then finally, I use the Sniper Sense, which gives us that critical hit chance, which is really good for crit healing if we're far away from our teammates. For the Masteries, real quick, guys, I'm just going the top and then through the middle for the bow. And then for the wand, I'm going middle to Redemptive Penance, and then I'm going to Grading 8 up there. If you end up getting level 20, then I would go for this cooldown speed down here as well, if possible. Because I think you get 4 more. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess you would only end up with the max mana. But yeah, that's what I would end up going for. Make sure you get that greedy need, Redemptive Penance, and then more max mana as well, which would be really helpful. Okay, guys, moving into the skill specializations. So I'm going to start with the wand here, so I don't put anything in Touch of Despair, because we're not going to be doing that much damage anyway. And so Swift Healing, Consecutive Use, and Distant Slash. So this is what I'm going to be using because it helps us heal people really quick. We always want to use 3 times now just because these dungeons are tougher. And so having more healing is just better. And being able to use it at a farther distance is really nice. Next, Clay Salvation, guys. I'm going to use Weaken Removal and Range Increase because it just makes Clay Salvation more effective. Helps us remove things, which is really nice in PvE. Time for Punishment, I am going to increase the effect duration here just because Time for Punishment is so good for our teammates and it just helps them, nuke down the boss a little bit quicker. So I'm going to add that effect duration to make that more effective. And for Blessed Barrier, guys, I actually use targets expanded and I extended by 1 second because this is super nice for our teammates. Yes, it makes it a little bit weaker, but it gives it to our entire team if they're all grouped up on us, which I found to be really effective. And so I would test this out, guys. If you don't like how it feels, feel free to not use it, maybe use it as a single target, but I've gotten a lot of great use out of Blessed Barrier, so I would recommend bringing this. And next is Invincible Wall. We got targets expanded and the distance protection, which is really nice because we're able to just hit our teammates essentially wherever they are in the boss area, which is just really nice. Fountain of Life, guys, I actually bring all three. And so typically I don't really bring extended staggering, and you could get rid of this if you wanted to for something else, but I've gotten a lot of use out of it because it essentially we can just kind of set it down, and just like the curses, we kind of set it and forget it. You know, we throw this down and we get an extra 2 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it ends up being quite a bit, which is awesome. And then I bring mana recovery too, just to help out the team with the range increase as well. Alright guys, moving into the bow. So the bow, this is what I'm going to be using. So basically, I'm going to go for the Whirlpool, and the reason why I'm not going with Vitality is because I'm not using Healing Touch. And you know, the reason why I'm not using Healing Touch overall is just because it's not as effective in PvE because it shares that cooldown with Swift Healing, and Swift Healing is just way more effective in the PvE situation, especially with all of these boss mechanics. So that's why I'm just going to go with Whirlpool. Essentially, this helps us create an area on the ground, which gives movement. And so basically, there's some question about like while in Whirlpool status, movement speed increases by 20% and adds 1 additional stack when Whirlpool is applied. So from what I understand, the Whirlpool, so basically how it works is when you drop the Whirlpool, you get this increased area, like you get speed increased on the ground. And if you get that off of using Whirlpool, so for example, you use it on yourself essentially, then you get an additional stack of that Whirlpool speed, which just makes you run a lot faster. Now, people that run into it, they just get the 20% speed. But say people are around you and they get the Whirlpool right as you use it, then they essentially get another stack of that speed. So I believe it's another 20%. So it gives you that 40%, which we can test that as well too. But yeah, that's why I go with Nature's Blessing, or the Whirlpool, just because it's really nice in PvE in case someone needs to escape, or if you need to escape from a tough situation. Next, I'm going to go for Purifying Touch here. I'm going to go for the cooldown because essentially Purifying Touch is really valuable in PvE, and I just want to be able to use it whenever something comes up. I go for the 30% cooldown because we just want to use it as quickly as possible. Now, you could adjust some of your other skills around to, you know, have a 50% chance to remove an additional debuff, but honestly, I just like to use the cooldown for it. So, and the additional debuff could be nice, but really you just want to remove a stun from someone, and so that's all that really, you know, that's why I use it, but you could feel free to switch it around. Next, I'm going to go for Blitz and reduce that cooldown as well because we just want to use Blitz as often as possible so that we can get our Deadly Marker up or our other healing spells. And then finally, Flash Wave. So I'm always going to use Flash Wave, so make sure you have that. And then I'm always going to have Effect Duration, which is really nice because then we just, you know, throw this down and we get a healing for like 13 seconds, which is crazy. And then you don't have to go with range increase. Honestly, you could switch this out for the Purifying Touch, you know, additional removal or something else if you want. But honestly, I found it to be pretty useful to be able to hit our teammates. Sometimes teammates don't, you know, group up, especially in random queue. And so this is just really nice to be able to hit everyone as best as we can. Again, you don't have to go with that. But honestly, you know, that's why I just go with it just to be able to hit everyone. Now, Deadly Marker, I used to tell you guys to go Bullseye. However, I've actually just I just read this wrong. And so basically, the Bullseye is something that comes from strafing. And so basically, it applies Bullseye to the target for 6 seconds, which enhances other longbow skills. So basically, if you're using strafing, then you could use you know, Bullseye. But because I'm not using strafing, Bullseye is just not very effective. And we're always pretty much going to hit the bosses anyway, so I wouldn't even worry about increasing the hit chance. Okay, guys, so that is all the skills and that's all the specializations, guys. Let's go for a quick rotation to help you guys out, to kind of give my thought process, right? And we're also going to showcase some of the skills that we had, like Chaotic Shield. So before we get into the what is it called, the rotation, let's show you guys that Chaotic Shield. So remember, when you use Chaotic Shield, essentially, if you have it on that circle that pops, then you get an extra healing. If you use it on the square, then it just does a little bit more damage for our curses if they're already affected. So I'm going to showcase the healing. So once it's a circle, I'm going to try to dodge that and show you guys it's a swift healing. So we get perfect, we get 3 seconds, and then we can heal ourselves just like that. So it's very quick. So I'll try to show it again. When it does a circle. That's okay too. So if we have a curse on, we're able to dodge that and give more damage. All right, perfect damage, and we heal ourselves. Or we can heal other teammates too. So basically you just use Chaotic Shield, and then you get that block, and then you can heal someone else with that same button, which is really nice. Okay. So now also I want to show you guys too, we also put on the Saint's Oath, I believe it's called. And so just to prove, hey, this actually increases our healing if we take skill damage. So just look at our bar at the top. It has a 20% chance to get that buff on us. And so hopefully she just hits us and we'll be able to get it. And then I can showcase you guys so you can believe me there. And she keeps missing. So that doesn't help us. All right, there you go. You see the little bar at the top? We have that Saint's Oath proc, which basically means that she does a skill heal or skill hit, which means we get that extra healing when that takes place. So if we mess up during the boss mechanics or throughout the dungeon, that'll help us there too. Okay, now going into the rotation, guys. So essentially, I always want to start a fight off, you know, a boss fight off really quick. I just want to get my Deadly Marker on, and then I want to use Blitz, and then I want to use Deadly Marker again, and then you can quickly throw your curses out and just be done with that. So it's a really fast rotation. Don't worry about that too much. Now, that's just kind of like our damage rotation. For the healing rotation, what I like to do, depending on the situation, right, is I like to be able to get my Blessed Barrier on a group if possible, right? So I'm going to use that pretty early, or if I know a boss mechanic is coming up, it gives us this nice bubble, and it helps our healing as well. And then what I like to do is I like to use my Flash Wave on as many teammates as possible, because we get like 13 or 14 seconds of this healing, which honestly, when you use these two together, you don't really need to spam healing on your teammates as often as you think. Flash Wave does so much healing, guys. And so I want you guys to be able to practice, you know, throwing your Flash Wave out and watching how much healing does. After that, what I like to do is, yes, I'm going to be spamming my curses whenever they come up, which is really nice. But then I'm also going to be using my invincible wall in case, you know, they're about to take damage, or like say there's one of the skill checks is coming. I use this right before that so that in case people do mess up, then it kind of mitigates that damage for them. And then I'm always going to use Fountain of Life on cooldown, guys. And you'll see, like, with the extra 2 seconds, I mean, this thing is awesome, right? So I would always make sure to use this on cooldown because we get so much utility out of it. You can use that with Blitz, which just makes this even more potent. You can stagger them or use them at the same time to increase mana, which is really nice. And then I'm almost using Nature's Blessing whenever I see weakens pop up on teammates. But honestly, I'm pretty much using that on cooldown too, which is really nice. Clay Salvation, I'm going to use this when I see that everyone's taking a lot of damage, or if a bunch of people have a weaken on them. For example, on the island, everyone can get slowed right before the geyser mechanic. And so I'll use Clay Salvation with that weaken removal to help with that as well. So yeah, guys, just to recap again, I'm just going to be, you know, throwing my curses out, throwing Deadly Marker with Blitz. Obviously, I don't Blitz up right now. And then I'm going to be using Blessed Barrier coupled with my Flash Wave. This just gives so much healing. And then I'm also going to be using Fountain of Life on cooldown. And then we're going to be using an Invincible Wall basically whenever we need it. I use that almost on cooldown as well, or when I know a boss mechanic is coming. And then you have your Purifying Touch for when someone gets stunned or, you know, things like that. And we're able to use that really quick because we had that cooldown reduction. Swift healing. I'm always just going to use this when someone's taking a lot of damage. Because we're not using healing touch, we're able to just use this exclusively, so we don't have to worry about another thing affecting our Swift healing. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much it. So let me show the Nature's Blessing real quick. So when you use it, right, essentially you'll look at my bar, I'll get like a little speed increase. And when I run in and out of that, I get like that speed increase, which is really nice. Again, when you use it on yourself, you get that extra stack as well. So correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it only impacts the speed. So if your teammates are grouped up on you and they get the Nature's Blessing, then they get like a 40% increase. But say someone didn't get in, they run through the Nature's Blessing, they only get the 20% increase, if that makes sense. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you out. I know this is a little bit longer, but yeah, happy healing, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.